SpaceX is preparing for Starship Flight Test 11, with Ship 38 and Booster 15 making headlines. Amazon's Project Kuiper faces a critical year to expand its broadband network, and Blue Origin's NAS-35 mission carried 40 scientific and educational payloads on a suborbital flight. My name is Connor, and welcome to another episode of Spaceflight News. SpaceX is pressing ahead towards Flight Test 11, and Ship 38 has taken center stage. Booster 15, which previously flew on Flight 8, is ready after a successful static fire, making this the second time a Super Heavy booster will attempt to fly again. Ship 38, the very last of the Block 2 Starships, rolled out for its own static fire at Pad 1. With Macy's test site still under construction for Block 3, SpaceX set up temporary hardware to make the test possible. The rollout revealed a nearly complete heat shield, missing only a few tiles reserved for experiments, along with the improved crunch wrap we talked about in our last video, which should offer reinforcements across the heat shield. The static fire campaign has been a bit bumpy. On Thursday, liquid oxygen began flowing into Ship 38, but the attempt was cut short, with teams returning to adjust the quick disconnect plate. A retry followed, though delays suggest further work is still needed before ignition can take place. These fits and starts highlight just how much precision is required at this stage, even for a suborbital test flight. Meanwhile, at Pad 2, construction is advancing quickly, as always. SpaceX tested the new liquid oxygen quick disconnect systems repeatedly, and then moved on to the flame deflector and water deluge system. The trench beneath the pad is designed to channel exhaust downward, and new pumps and water tanks are being installed to keep up with demand. This expanded water farm could allow for multiple launch attempts in a single day. This is a major upgrade over Pad 1, where tanks must be refilled by truck. Back at the build site, the first piece of the Block 3 era hardware is coming together. Booster 18's test tank appeared this week, showing off a redesigned housing that tucks grid fin mechanisms and their power systems inside the methane tank instead of perching them above the hot staging ring. This streamlined approach means Block 3 boosters will have fewer exposed components, more resilience during staging, and an overall cleaner profile. Soon after, a nearly built aft section rolled into view, complete with chins and plumbing for engine chill and startup systems. This aft end matches renders released by SpaceX earlier this year, and marks the clearest sign yet that Block 3 hardware is nearly ready. The big picture is becoming super clear. Ship 38 and Booster 15 are preparing to close out the Block 2 chapter with Flight 11, while Pad 2 and Booster 18 set the stage for the next generation. Suborbital test flights might feel incremental, but every rollout, static fire, and construction milestone is bringing Starship closer to operational reusability. At the World Space Business Week conference, several launch providers laid out their plans to ramp up activity, though not without caveats. Blue Origin, which has flown New Glenn only once, promised that it will be launching multiple times per month by next year. Arianespace scaled back its Ariane 6 expectations, from 5 launches this year down to 4. The story here is ambition versus reality. Launch companies are under pressure to increase cadence, but the technical and logistical challenges remain, super heavy? SpaceX, meanwhile, is preparing to extend its reach beyond rockets. Gwen Shotwell announced that the company plans to start testing the EchoStar spectrum, which it acquired for direct-to-device services by the end of next year. In practice, that means Starlink could connect directly to ordinary phones, not just terminals. Also, Amazon is pushing ahead with Project Kuiper. The company expects to begin broadband services by March across 5 countries: the US, UK, Germany, France, and Canada. By the end of 2026, it hopes to reach 26 nations. There are about 100 satellites in orbit now, soon to double with upcoming launches. But of course, there's a catch. Kuiper is far behind the FCC's 2026 deadline to deploy half of its 3,200 satellite constellation. Amazon says access to launches is the biggest bottleneck. The next year will be critical in deciding whether Kuiper can keep pace with SpaceX and Starlink. NASA's NG-23 Cygnus cargo mission also ran into trouble this week. Launched Sunday evening with 5 tons of supplies, the spacecraft experienced a thrust issue that cut short 2 orbit-raising burns. As a result, NASA delayed its berthing to the ISS until engineers could resolve the problem. While all other systems appear healthy, the incident is highlighting that even now, routine supply missions still face a tremendous amount of risks, and any wrong move could be detrimental. On September 15, a Falcon 9 lifted off from Cape Canaveral, carrying a Cygnus spacecraft on a resupply mission to the International Space Station. Cygnus, built by Northrop Grumman, has been a mainstay of the ISS logistics for more than a decade, delivering food, experiments, and space hardware. This marked the latest step in the steady chain of commercial cargo missions that keep the station running. The next day, September 16, China launched a Long March 2C, carrying a satellite designed to test internet technology into low Earth orbit. While not a headline-grabbing mission, it reflects China's ongoing effort to develop its own satellite broadband systems, paralleling Starlink and Kuiper here in the West. Blue Origin's NS-35, the 35 flight for its New Shepard program, launched uncrewed from Corn Ranch, West Texas, carrying over 40 scientific and educational payloads. The mission included 24 experiments from NASA's TechRise Student Challenge, and contributions from universities and companies such as Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, University of Florida, and Teledyne. And rounding out this week were 3 Starlink launches, on September 18th from Cape Canaveral, on 19th from Vandenberg, and on 21st again from Cape Canaveral. Together, the missions placed 80 combined satellites into low Earth orbit, continuing SpaceX's relentless expansion of its broadband constellation everyone seems to want a piece of. And that's all for this week's Spaceflight Roundup. From Starship milestones and satellite internet battles, to Cygnus cargo missions and New Shepard science flights, it's been a busy week above Earth. I'm Connor, and thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time on Spaceflight News.